Title: The Maid Who Wouldn't Look Away. Shortcut: I was polishing glasses when a man raised a pistol like the room was his, chandeliers, throwing little stars on the floor. A quartet pretending the world wasn't about to tilt, and my mouth moved before my fear did. If you pull that trigger, everything you came for dies with you. It wasn't a threat, not really, more like a weather report from someone who's been caught in the storm before, and every head turned toward me. The woman in a gray housekeeping apron. Folks had been stepping around all night like I was furniture. Yeah, that happened. Name's Nia Carter, South Side born former Army CID who left the badge after a mission that still talks in my sleep. But that night, I was the maid no one saw. You learn things when people forget you're a person. His vendor badge didn't match the shoes that could chase a suspect. The earpiece tugged the two lazy loops around the ballroom without tasting a single canapé, the way his eyes counted exits like a metronome. I stepped closer with a polishing cloth, and the truth: your badge says sound tech, your posture says shooter. The service corridor you used had a camera moved 15 minutes ago, so either you're very unlucky or you're here to be loud. His laugh cracked. A second guy hit me from behind, with a baton that felt like a lead sentence, and the marble caught me. Then, for a blink, I was back in Kandahar, dust in my teeth. Santos yelling through a headset that went static right before the blast, the kind of failure you carry like a second spine. The first man yanked Cole Harrington, billionaire building owner, a face you'd recognize from billboards, and pressed a gun to his temple, the room holding its breath the way prey does, and Cole looked at me instead of the barrel. I gave him a slow blink and a nod. Move when I move. He returned it like we'd practiced in another life. You think this is about money, the gunman said. It's about blood. You never see the darling of the night. Victor Hale. Sold the kind of gear that sends men home in folded flags. My brother didn't make it. Now you'll feel what that costs. The crowd whispered the words they save for people like me. Stay in your lane, just staff. And something in me settled like a coin dropping in a payphone. I stood with my ribs screaming. Cole dropped his weight, my heel clipped the shooter's wrist. The gun skittered under a table. The room finally told the truth with noise, and the second man got a forearm he won't forget, then a short strike that turned his lights out. Who the hell are you? Someone asked, and I told them what I'd buried. Used to be CID. Now I clean glass because ghosts don't like desks. Cole found me by the kitchen later and said the sentence that changed my week. I run a private protection arm. Come in tomorrow. You didn't just save me, you stopped something worse. I told him I was retired, and he shook his head. You just put the uniform under your apron. By morning, my face was on screens with strangers arguing like they knew me. Hero, reckless, problem, miracle. I made tea I didn't drink while Loose from laundry hugged me so hard my ribs clicked back into place. Be careful. Baby pedestals and dog piles are both cages. My phone rang with a number I didn't want. Carter, Agent Park. I know your file, and I know Santos last night wasn't freelance. You hit a live wire. Don't mistake a badge on a door for safety. I went to see Cole anyway, against the part of me that wanted a bus out of town. His office looked over the river like it owned water. He didn't waste breath. I have money and a team, and I'm still alive because you saw what they didn't. Help me build something that works. His assistant crashed in with a tablet and a face. Another hit. Same signature, 2 dead Midtown. We watched a black SUV and 2 masks move like routine, not panic. And then Victor Hale walked in, human size in daylight, hands shaking. I didn't ask for a savior, he said, but I guess I needed one. I want out. The network has a name. Elliot Draven. He wrote the playbook. Philanthropy on the brochure. Weapons in the warehouse. We moved Victor to a brownstone that smelled like stale coffee and fear. He tried to be tough for 10 minutes and then cracked. I signed shipments. I knew were wrong. I told myself I didn't see where they landed. Then I read about a village outside Kandahar, and a name I couldn't forget. Santos. He slid a napkin with Draven like a verdict. The window shattered before Fear could finish shots, took the mug, then the frame. I took Victor to the floor, and the alley we left through was the kind you only know if you grew up with sirens for lullabies. Cole's driver did his job. I didn't read the napkin until the car door slammed, and the name burned up at me like a dare. The first trap had a sign that said Northline Freight, and a fence that said Mind Your Business Crates, labeled farm equipment, until you cracked one open, and rifles stared back. Of course they did. The fixer, Marek, strutted the catwalk with too many teeth. You're exactly where Mr. Draven wanted you. Cameras rolling. Tonight's headline writes itself, Billionaire and pet ex-cop plant evidence more at 11. I didn't give him a speech. I pointed at a crane chain and tapped Cole's shoulder. The control box, now he popped up and fired the ugliest lucky shot I've ever loved. The pallet lurched. The catwalk bucked. Men stumbled. I moved through the wobble like music, knee, wrist, sleep. Marek laughed. Bleeding. You think it ends with me? Draven is 10 moves ahead. He wasn't wrong. We ran before sirens could decide which team they were on. Draven baited us again, with red doors under a Clean River North Law office, code 7413, and a server room humming like a secret with job security. I slid a drive in and watched money spider across the world, contracts disguised as charity names, wearing flags on their lapels. The lights flickered, the doors opened, and the man himself took the room like climate. Ms. Carter, the Bureau abandoned you now. You want to be its conscience. He nodded at the drive like he'd ordered it. I'm not going to kill you, he said, almost bored. I'll let the city do it. Headlines are cheaper than bullets. He threw us in a private holding cage that smelled like disinfectant and denial glass cells and cameras with purrs. Cole tried a joke and found nothing to stand it up. I walked my box and looked for seams. Everything breaks if you find the fault line. Agent Park arrived behind 2 guards with a face that knew compromise and still hated it. I can't pull you out, he said low. I can forget a door and let a camera hiccup, I asked, because we both hate the machine that eats people and calls it policy, he said. Then put his mask back on and left me 5 seconds of stutter to snap plastic, find the weak side of glass, and run with Cole through alarms that sounded like they wanted apologies. Marek had bragged about redundancy without meaning to. My stolen maintenance log said, Calumet Freight Yard Building C, Green Bay door code 8462, and the yard at midnight glowed like a cathedral with bad intentions. The green door gave up, servers throbbed like a second heart. The files poured in and my stomach went cold, because getting what you want can be terrifying. Senators who salute on camera, executives who fund scholarships between shipments, a judge whose speeches about law sat next to authorizations stamped at 2 a.m. Then the lights went red, and Draven stepped out with a squad. And that winter smile, you're consistent, he said, run. When others hide, charge. When others bargain. Is it bravery or self-destruction? I told him it was responsibility, and the room answered us with bullets. Cole grabbed the drive like it was oxygen and earned my respect the old-fashioned way, by bleeding and not quitting. I borrowed a rifle with no receipt, carved a seam, and we climbed a fence we had no business clearing. A round kissed Cole's arm instead of his heart, and the alley on the other side smelled like wet brick and second chances. We hid in the basement of a closed bookstore with a laptop missing 2 keys and patience. We read the kind of truth that makes you sit down, and you could feel the city above us, pretending it didn't already know. Draven found us, because of course he did. His SUV blocked the mouth of the alley, like a period he planned to put at the end of me. You should have stayed invisible, he said. I stepped in front of Cole without thinking. That's how I knew I still recognized myself. and a second voice cut the air. Your weapons agent Park with 4 exhausted agents came from the far end. The world held its breath, then did what it always does. Break. Guns spoke, metal screamed. Park's team pushed Draven's line sideways. He reached for his car, and I reached for him. We collided, ugly and real. The knife left his hand when I bent his wrist the wrong way. You don't get a monologue. I told him the only thing you get is to watch this end. Cuffs clicked his face, tried to look like a future again, and failed. You think this fixes anything, he whispered, where only I could hear the machine survives. You maybe, I said, maybe not, because a machine is just people with habits and signatures, and we just recorded all of them. Park looked at the drive, then at the sky where morning was making promises. This will tear roofs off good, I said. Some roofs need tearing. Could I have ended him? Sure did I know. He wanted me to become the thing he already tells people I am, and Santos wouldn't know me if I did. So here's where I leave you for now. Headlines will argue about me, some will call me liar, some will say hero, some will pretend I don't exist, which is its own kind of violence. The drive's already in motion, cut into packets and fireproofed by people who don't post their names. There will be hearings and denials and very expensive apologies. Maybe some names stick, maybe some slide. That's how scared money moves. I'm not your symbol. I'm a woman who refused to look away, and I've got a question for you. When the person your world taught you to step around speaks up, do you look away or do you look closer? Tell me in the comments what justice looks like where you live. Tell me a time bias told the wrong story, and you pushed back. And if you were in that ballroom and heard a maid stop a bullet with a sentence, would you have believed me or told me to stay in my lane? I'm listening. You know what I mean.